Hey, what's going on, guys? Ben Standig here with Bobby Bancroft. We're doing the weekly college basketball show on DMV Stream. We're coming to you live from George Washington in the most ironic place I could possibly find for us to do the show, in the fitness center.
To be fair, I worked out yesterday.
To be fair,
I didn't work out here.
To be fair, I worked out in 2012, so I got that going for me.
Okay.
We're doing it here today. We attempted to do this yesterday from Georgetown. Yada yada yada.
We did it.
Oh, well, we did it, but you probably didn't see it. In any event, we're here now.
You probably didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's probably the better way to phrase it. We're here now. In a couple hours, George Washington is hosting number 18, St. Louis.
Senior day.
Is it senior day?
It's I was walking out, I was walking in, big tailgate scene. I had no idea there was a tailgate scene here. GW.
Sometimes they block off the street that they were doing.
It looked like it was like the backyard of some sort of building or whatever. The guys playing cornhole. It was free for any GW fans. It said it was senior day.
No, in this college.
Go to grad school.
All right, anyway, so we're not going to so much, I don't think, get into the games today. We're also going to later go to both of you at Georgetown. Number 7 Georgetown hosting Rutgers.
Yeah.
Probably not much to discuss there anyway. Not the case. I'm sure they want me to phrase it like that, but
if there is a lot to discuss, it's bad.
Right.
It'll be bad.
So rather than get into those games and anything else, any other games specific this weekend, we figured at this point we would talk about a couple things that happened this week, particularly the realignment news, which impacts obviously Georgetown directly, and also the occupancy potentially of this building as well as other teams in the area. And then we'll also get into some NCAA tournament seeding talk, and basically next week is the last week of the regular season for most teams. So we'll get into maybe some of that too.
Some teams are, a lot of the teams will be in the conference tournament next week.
The CAA tournament.
A lot of the lower, the leagues, more of the one-bid caliber type leagues.
Exactly.
So the team here, St. Louis, this might be their last trip as an A-10 member.
It's very possible because they are one of the schools rumored to be joining the new version of the Big East Conference. For those of you who, I guess I should say, living under a rock is not an insulting news. I won't phrase it like that. But those of you who are busy in life have heard the news. We knew that the basketball schools at the end of the Big East were breaking off. At some point, we didn't know when. This week, the reports came out that they're going to be leaving after this year to form their new league with supposedly Butler and Xavier out of the A-10 in tow. And the biggest news, from my point of that, is they're supposed to be keeping the Big East name with them, which I think is ginormous.
Yeah, next step, keep the tournament in MSG. I feel like of all the tournaments, that one is special because you can just, sit and watch by it.
Yeah. I think also, like if you're looking at it the Big East from the outside and you still know that tournament is being held there and is under that name, it's essentially business as usual, whereas if they call it the East Coast Conference and it's played at the Barclays Arena in Brooklyn, it's something else. It's not that. So I think as best as they can possibly do under these unfortunate circumstances, and by unfortunate I mean realignment sucks.
From a basketball point of view, it does seem that way, yes.
It is unfortunate. I think the link above us basketball is the main sport for us, and it's so unfortunate that nobody seems to care about it.
It just seems, it makes a lot of sense to have the football moves not affect all the other sports. And when we say it only affects basketball, that's not true. I've got a good friend that played soccer at Syracuse when the Big East expanded in 2005. And she's like, all of a sudden we're going to Marquette, we're going to South Florida. It affects every sport but football the most, and then it's made for football, which is, mind-boggling. Hopefully they go to the NCAA. But, for instance, today, Butler took their trip down to VCU.
By the way, I'm moving closer for 1 second just to see if I can adjust the volume, but keep talking. Don't mind me.
Butler was at VCU today, and, VCU got them pretty good, but at the same time, that might be it for them. I'm really distracted right now, I'm not going to lie.
Did it go up?
Yeah. And Butler's AD was there, and he was very JT3-like on TV. He's just, we haven't had any talks with the Catholic Seven, and everything you've heard from everyone that you would trust says that, the minute that forms, they're in.
And we were at Georgetown practice yesterday, we talked to JT3, and as expected, he pretty much said nothing other than that his only goal out of this whole process is to, whatever's going to happen, get it done quick. He wouldn't acknowledge
what?
and any other aspect of this transition, which is not surprising. But he didn't at least offer any pushback to say what you're hearing is nonsense.
Yeah, no, he sort of had that smile on his face, and he wouldn't even give us the satisfaction of admitting that he would like to be called the Big East. His joke was, well, he called Georgetown Cones. I don't care, it's kind of cheap, but I mean, he couldn't even give us that. But it's expected.
Let's just play. Let's just have a little bit of looking ahead fun here. The 7 schools, for those of you who don't have the names off the top of your head: Georgetown, St. John's, Villanova, Marquette, DePaul, Providence, Seton Hall.
There you go.
Plus Butler, Xavier, and then the supposed work. In theory, the belief is they're going to get to 10 or 12 teams. I think you would probably prefer 10, but I get why it's probably going to 12. And you got schools like St. Louis, Dayton, maybe Richmond, maybe VCU, maybe Creighton, some combination of those schools in the mix. If you had to pick your druthers, if it was only going to be say 10, you can only pick one more.
Gonzaga.
I don't think the women's softball team is going to be flying coast to coast for those of you. But anyway.
I mean, if I had to pick, I would pick VCU, but they don't seem to be in the mix. It seems to be it's going to be public, or it's going to be private only. And the point I've been making is VCU is in basically a private league right now. I think currently only UMass and UNC Charlotte are public schools within the A10.
Oh, that's outside of my analysis.
So it's not like it would be a different situation than it currently is.
I guess the thing is, like, in terms of, let's say, if you're going to have a Richmond school, Richmond or VCU, obviously VCU is the hotter team because of Jack Smart and the Final Four run. But over the last decade, 20 years, Richmond, I would argue Richmond is maybe even better, but at least pretty comparable, and they as a school that fits more of the profile of the other schools. So maybe just from that sense,
I guess it's just hard. It just, maybe they don't want a public school with the money situation is different. I even saw someone talking about the idea that I guess public schools are under the Freedom of Information Act type stuff. Like, I mean, that's something I never considered being part of a reason for a conference realignment.
Well, I think that's what now that you say that, because I know, like, let's say Maryland has had a new coach at some point. Some reporter will release the contract terms, and they will always say something with freedom of information.
Yeah.
And I can't recall ever hearing what John Thompson III.
I guess they don't have to. They don't have to do that. It's weird, but that seems to be a consideration. I think where we are right now, the A10. I mean, this seems like the conference that's going to get hit the hardest, just like the ACC has been hitting the Big East the hardest. The Big East has already hit Conference USA hard. There's nowhere to go there. They're coming here, and that's it. That's too bad.
So right now this conference has 16 teams this year, but Temple and Charlotte are already out the door.
Yes.
After this season, and now if you believe these reports, Butler, Xavier, now
it's
probably 2 more. Either this year or the following year after that, to be down to 10, the same number for the CAA, and we sort of paired them up the other day, kind of looking at them, and I can make sort of arguments the A10 is better, but they both sort of look mid-major-ish. I mean, the A10 historically, I always thought we discussed it today, that we were the middle ground of a mid-power conference school, so it was too good to be a quote-unquote mid-major.
Yeah, definitely.
But now, I don't know what happens to that conference. But the interesting point is, I don't know where either of those conferences go from there. Outside of rating each other, there just isn't that many other places to turn anymore to get a top school where you can, outside of just getting numbers, where you can say, yes, we just helped our conference because this is like the way ATEC got Butler in VCU. There's nothing close to that.
No, I mean, schools out there that you think might be, quote unquote sexy, Davidson, Belmont. I'm not even sure who else. Sienna's been talked about as being a Big East school. I don't really see that happening. But, I think 10 teams is perfect for a basketball league. And it's like we forget all leagues used to basically be 9 or 10, so you can play everybody twice. Now, the only thing that really comes into one of the things I think, fans don't think about, media doesn't think about a lot, is the TV contract and the inventory required. That's one of the things they're saying. Fox Sports is pushing for 10 this season, And even Notre Dame is being rumored as like a one-stop in between. That might be leverage to try and get into the ACC. But I don't know why if I was the ACC, you guys just said you could just come tomorrow if you want. But if you have 9 teams, one team is idle every weekend, or you're at a conference schedule, it's got to be pretty screwy that you're always playing at a conference, late in February, even into March. So it sounds like as always, TV sort of dictates how many teams are. They want 12 teams. Fox Sports will get 12 teams, right?
And I think also at the way these, I don't think any of us think that this realignment is going to be over. So the more teams you have, you build yourself a little bit of cushion whenever the next teams are out. So I think it's that. Like that's why I think with the Catholic 7, they'll probably get the 12, but for no other reason but to have just in case schools. That's just how we roll this is.
When they go to 14, then my joke with Gonzaga comes into play because there would be no one to add unless you added them in a West Coast school.
I agree. Knock on wood. Let's hope that doesn't.
There's nowhere else to go. We can have 14 just at Siena and Manhattan for fun. Georgetown's not going to let either GW or George Mason in.
There becomes a point, at least from my perspective, of in that league of diminishing returns by just adding anybody. We could already make some argument that. Obviously they haven't had much of a choice, and I respected the decision to break off from the football schools. I think it was the wise call, even if you leave Connecticut and Cincinnati behind. But realistically, the conference as it stands this minute already has some filler. Yeah, it's already Providence all have been interesting in a while, and St. John's and Villanova have not been even close to their sort of top 10 way above the past. So really, it's Georgetown, Marquette.
Villanova is sort of interesting. They've been recruiting at a high level, and
they can make a tournament this year. So that's been.
It was only 2 years ago they spent most of the season in the top 10. Just last season was bad, and this season has been a roller coaster. But I think I would make the case Seton Hall and DePaul are really anchored, really weighing.
We could go way off topic if we start getting into why hasn't DePaul ever rebounded, but we'll save that for the summer. Maybe we really run that topic.
They can't shoot either.
I wanted to, anyway, just to sort of wrap up the realignment thing. So again, I think this it'll be interesting to see what happens whenever the new version of the Big East is formed.
It's supposed to be Wednesday.
Oh,
that's the new, the Jersey guy. Apparently, he just knows everything.
Your boy.
I don't even know how to say his last name.
By the way, for those of you who are Twitter folks, because this is how he gets all the information. He's at Bobby Bancroft on Standig, another handles for us.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the equivalent of writing your name in the back of everywhere. I just need to make it as simple as possible so I remember him.
That's the last time we need to talk about that.
You're going to be talking about my Nora.
I said that's the last time we need to talk about that.
We were at Georgetown's practice yesterday, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about Otto Porter in the last 2 weeks or so in particular, since he went for 33 on Syracuse.
Yeah.
Those who have been paying attention, it's been obvious for a while that he was the best player of the Big East this year, with him an All-American candidate. Now he's been the true National Player of the Year, candidate by all the national pundits, one of which was at Georgetown's practice yesterday and asked JT3 sort of his take on Otto, but then more specifically to define for him what is, in a general sense, what is the player of the year. And I really like to quote when we just play this out.
Sure.
So, Coach, how when you look at the player of the year with voting kind of thing, how would you define what a player of the year is?
OTTO. Otto is his name.
That only gets said that part, then that would be really awesome.
I got a little bit more pizzazz.
Yeah, just a little. I'm looking at the national scene. I mean, you got him, you got Victor Oladipo at Indiana, Trey Burke at Michigan, Kelly Olynyk at Gonzaga. I think that seems to be the main group at this point. I don't think a Plumlee is involved anymore. I'm obviously biased, but for no other reason, I just simply watch Otto.
Well, I was going to say, I haven't sat down and watched every game those other guys play. There's just not enough time in the day. And you get to see him. And also, those other guys might be great kids as well. And, this day and age, we've learned over and over again, we really don't know people. But it seems like, it's pretty hard not to like Otto.
Yeah. My guess is, I mean, obviously there's a lot of time left, and I believe the player of the year is only through the regular season. There's not a lot of time left, although he does have 2 big games for time next week at Villanova, and then the season finale, all season finales against Syracuse. So there's definitely more opportunity for him to get attention. I just wouldn't put a lot of money on it simply because Georgetown just feels like they get overlooked in a lot of these cases. For example, JT Free has never won Big East Coach of the Year. Seems to me obvious he should be that guy this year, but again, whether he's going to win the Mike Gray Award or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I think the stats, he doesn't stick out. I mean that's why he's had a great steady season. It took that big performance in the Carrier Dome for people to be like, oh man, this JT Free joked yesterday. I've been telling you all season, you guys finally believe me? I mean, to be fair, a lot of that is true. Not a lot has changed. His numbers have gone up once Winnington went out. That's, I would agree with that. But, I mean, he's steady.
It's for the same reason why he gets overlooked as to why I suspect come the draft, if he were to leave this year, that even though he's on the rise now, that come draft time, I could see it falling a little because he doesn't stand out in any one particular way. He doesn't blow you away with some crazy dunks. Clearly doesn't have. He's clearly a soft-spoken kind of kid. He's not an outlandish personality. So for these types of reasons, which are not necessarily legitimate basketball reasons,
human error.
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it. That I can see it again. Why I probably don't see him winning Player of the Year. Why, if in fact the draft happens, maybe so. Let's focus on the tournament here before we wrap up. Georgetown right now. You look at the various mock brackets and such, they're sort of on the 2-3 line. Again, they've got opportunity here to keep going. Not that the national rankings have any real say in theory to the process, but it's a realistic. If they win today against Rutgers, realistically they will be in the top 5 this week. We know at least one AP voter who has suggested he would possibly put them all the way up to number 1,
depending on the result of Miami Duke. Yeah.
So root for Duke if you want Georgetown to get at least one vote.
Yeah, well, 1 in parentheses, 5.
Do you? I guess let's say, what are the what are your odds, or what do you think Georgetown's chances of getting a 1, and maybe more importantly, do you actually want them to get the number 1, or do you prefer them maybe having a little less target on their back if that's the thing?
The question, my answer, I think they're only going to get a 1 if they win the Big East tournament. So my answer would be yes, I want them to get a 1 because I would like them to win the Big East tournament. And I say that as historically, when they've won the Big East tournament 7 times, the worst that they've done is lose in a regional final. So then they need 8, and it'd be a pretty nice run to cover. Assuming they're in Indianapolis, possible I can get that. Because the Rising Center is a host school, which means they can't do it. They're not as smart as people in Carolina, where you need to make sure that you want to host it, but you want to host it somewhere else. So my answer would be, I do want them to get a 1. But that being said, when you look at the 8-9 matchups, you might look at a bracket and say I'd rather be a 2 or a 3 based on who you might play. So I think,
and ultimately that really is all that matters. I mean, I know last year when they had the matchup set up, and we saw that NC State was a potential team in the third round, I guess is the way they call it, and I did not like that matchup at all because they matched up with Georgetown's size and length.
It seemed like a coin flip, and that's the way the game sort of went.
Right, and so, right. I mean, I don't even. I mean, we can get into this in the coming weeks. I don't even know exactly at this stage because Georgetown has beaten all kinds of different teams on this 10-game winning streak. I don't even know what I fear for them at this point. But I guess it's slow down. But we'll get into that down the line. Virginia with their win over Duke, as it stands this minute, I think they're on the right side of the bubble.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think if the committee pays attention to the fact that in their 3 bad losses, the most notable being
missing people.
Yeah, like the most notable being to a 1-win ODU team at the time. Their point guard, John Elevens, basically didn't play in any of the 3 games. That's the fact that to me that's a scary team for Virginia. I actually wouldn't want Georgetown to say because
no, I wouldn't want them in the 8-9 game. Well, it'd be you only had 1 local advancing, but also I think it would be that'd be pretty tough.
I think should we officially say Maryland? We could make it official here on the show. Maryland is done. They got to win the ACC tournament and call it that. Otherwise,
yeah, they're in the same boat George Mason is, I think. GW if they have to win their conference tournaments.
I mean, ironically, since you just made Maryland and George Mason put them in the same sentence, as weird as this sort of sounds, George Mason's chances of making the tournament
Probably better.
Probably better because the CAA only has 7 teams. One of those teams, Hofstra, is truly bad. I think the other 6 all have a legitimate puncher's chance to get in. I don't necessarily see George Mason winning 3 straight games because they really just been very inconsistent. But again, between them, your school, James Madison, William and Mary, there could be another.
Lefty's not one. Well, I mean, for example, Northeastern is the 1 seed they lost to Old Dominion at home.
They did?
Yeah. At one point, they were down 23.
Wow.
Yeah. So that just shows you, go to Richmond, roll the dice.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. So at the moment, as it would stand, Georgetown, VCU. Again, we're sort of broadening out the term DMV.
Yeah.
Georgetown, VCU, Virginia, Norfolk State. Last time I looked, which was not today, they were undefeated in the MEAC.
Which is sort of amazing considering what they lost.
Yeah, Palo Queen.
You know what I mean? Everyone's assuming like they're like a one player guy.
So those are 4 schools. Loyola is second in the MAC. Towson, can't go. My phone just killed me. In any event, so there could be a few teams in the league in the tournament. Maybe only 2 or 3. Something. But at least we're pretty sure that at least one's going to be a very, very.
Yeah, it looks like 3 at worst. It seems like unless something crazy happens.
For those of you out there who like to GPS on our plan, I think is to go. Our plan, I think, is to go to Villanova on Wednesday to watch Georgetown as we sort of start our road trip through the season. But there's apparently a snowpocalypse coming to the East Coast. So
what are you gonna do?
So yeah. We're dedicated, but only, I don't like being stuck in the side of 95 either.
No, it's, I've done it with one of our colleagues, Craig Stouffer. Once is enough.
So anyway, so there's that. Then we got Syracuse at home. By home, I mean Verizon Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you at least are planning on going to Richmond to the CAA tournament, assuming George Mason is still alive.
Yeah, that's my plan. I'm set up to go to that, and there's a chance I could make it to their quarterfinal game. I guess I don't even know how they're at 17. So one team has a bye.
Northeastern has a bye, so I think it's a Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Right, but it's a quarterfinal, but that would imply that there's 4 games that round, and there's not.
Right, it's just 3 games on another game. Whatever round that would be, the 16 playing. That's what I think it goes. Anyway, and then I think we're both sort of hoping to go to the Big East tournament.
Probably if they get out of that first game, seems like. Well, depending, Georgetown, the 1 seed plays at noon on Thursday. It's sort of problematic.
Right. And then if Georgetown, at least from my perspective, Georgetown is a high seed in their region, but they get slotted in Philadelphia, I think we probably try to go to there. You're more ambitious than I.
I'd consider Dayton.
I think you consider Shanghai. Now they were in that region.
Well, to be fair, they played around that area last year, and I did not make it.
Well, if they played in that area again, I'm not sure I'd be willing to make that trip myself.
Yeah, it might be dangerous based on previous results.
Ironically, that trip was mentioned yesterday practice.
Which I feel if I would have brought it up, it would have been like I would have got punched in the face.
Yeah, the thing is how the coach himself brought it up when I asked the question, when did you say this team began bonding? He said last year, China, but he's before China. I was like, okay, coach.
Well, that's the whole point of those. I mean, obviously, it's great to take college kids and take them abroad, but I mean, at the end of the day, the whole point of those trips is that you can work out with your team for 10 days, I believe 10 practices before you go on that trip, and that's a big advantage.
George Washington did that this year. They went to Italy, and even though they're right now sort of at about 500, battling to stay alive to get in the A10 tournament, I think it's fair to say that that helped them also a lot. They started a lot of freshmen that went to join teams, so I think it's advanced them for next year.
Absolutely.
All right, I say we call it a day there because I believe there's pizza in the other room with my name on it, and we have to start studying.
We've been at the gym for 30 minutes now, so I think we definitely earned some pizza.
Exactly. All right, we'll call it a day. Again, Ben Standig, Bobby Bancroft, thanks for checking in. Hit us up on Twitter, and we'll be back next week.
See you.